What's going on, everybody? Welcome in, finally, to episode 15 of Lobbing Scorchers. I think that's the right number.
One of those.
If that's not the right number, I'm not going to correct it. This is Ari Lillianwall. I've got producer Noah here with me. Noah, say what's up to the people.
Man, we came out of hibernation.
We're back.
And the Sounders won.
Yeah, we came back for a dub pod. Which is great timing on our part. It's good to be back. I think we're both actually excited to talk about this team.
For once.
For our return episode. Apologies on the delay on getting this one out. We haven't been able to get our shit together last week or two here. But we're getting back on the grind. We're back in action. I appreciate everyone. Every time I've fallen off schedule a little bit, a few of you loyal listeners out there will needle me on Twitter, and that's good. I actually appreciate that. If you ever notice us falling off schedule, I'm totally fine with that.
Make sure to at me, because it's usually my fault.
at Noah, at me, at whoever. Makes us feel good to know that we're missed if we get off our schedule. So
we love all of you.
We love all of you. We're glad to be back. We're going to be talking to some Seattle Sounders today, and there's a lot to talk about. There's a dub pod. There's a Timbers game coming up that I'm actually going to miss, unfortunately.
Me too.
It's weird. I would never miss one of these, but I'm going to be out of town. But I'll be keeping close tabs on that, and we're going to talk. We're going to preview that, so we'll talk about that later in the show. But I think we're going to spend most of this episode dub podding. I think we're going to talk about this 2-1 victory over Austin FC at Q2 Stadium. Always a good bit. Taking a dub at Q2. Last time they did it with the youngest starting 11 in MLS history, famously, as we all remember.
Famously.
So this one didn't have quite that novelty, but it was a good dub.
In an interesting lineup.
Yeah, an interesting lineup, a different lineup, which is what I liked about it. There was actually some tweaks going on. I think a lot of that was due to just the actual need for squad rotation with fixture congestion. Who knows, if the schedule hadn't been as such, maybe Schmetz would have just run it back again. But he made some tweaks. They paid off. The squad got a dub. But before we dive fully into that, we'll have to give you the prelude and set up what happened leading up to this game, because I believe last time we recorded was around the Leagues Cup debacle. I can't remember exactly how far we got into that, but I think we all know that Leagues Cup didn't pan out very well. The squad shipped 7 goals in 2 games.
Incredible.
Morale was low. And they didn't look much better than that, to be honest, in the return to league play against Atlanta United. That was a 2-0 loss at Lumen Field. And
Gonzo
Pineda got his revenge. Ozzy Alonso got his revenge. Garth Lagerway got his revenge.
It was a full-on attack.
It was a boat racing perpetuated by a score of former Sounders that, they settled the score pretty comfortably in that game. And, as low as morale was in Leagues Cup, I think it actually dipped even lower after that Atlanta game, because the whole thing with that game was they had, we have 3 weeks off. We're going to get back on the training ground. We're going to iron out the fine points. We're going to figure out what works. We're going to shift this, shift that. We're going to get this thing back on track. We just need these 3 weeks off to get it together. And then they came out at Lumen Field against Atlanta.
They were trying to find themselves.
They tried to find themselves. They did not in that game. That not only did they not look like they solved anything in that game, they actually looked worse on offense, I think.
Yeah, it was awful.
I don't know. It's been pretty tough. It had been pretty tough sledding on offense for a long time.
I turned that game off.
But I don't blame you. I don't.
Yeah.
I was there working it, so I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But anyone who did, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah.
That's how kind of discouraging that was. But then they started this 2-game road swing at Minnesota United, at Austin FC, and I'm not going to lie to you. My expectations were not particularly high. We've seen a lot of lethargic, uninspired play in attack for a pretty long sample size leading up to this. They had the Atlanta game at home, actually managed to backslide in that game. So I'm looking at a trip to Allianz Field against a Minnesota United team that hasn't played well at Allianz. They weirdly have like a 2-6 record there now, but it's a tough road trip.
They sound like the Sounders.
Yeah, hard, well, but even like even weirder splits.
Yeah,
like Seattle's at least won 6 home games this year.
That's true. They started out the season great.
Minnesota United has won 2 home games all year, which that's crazy
for
to me.
them too.
Like they're still treading water close to the playoff line because they've been pretty good on the road, but 2-6 at home, like that's crazy.
That's
and
brutal.
So I guess if there was a reason for optimism going into that game, that would have been it. But I was looking at that and I was like, I don't really, score multiple goals in the game. Score multiple goals in the game and maybe you'll win it. But if it's just the same thing, same lineup, same tactics we've seen on offense, I don't really know why that would happen. And that turned out to be right. It was actually pretty funny how that game turned out. Seattle took the lead. They scored a goal. They scored first. They went up 1-0 in the first half. And the man who scored it was the guy that we've all been saying needs to start carrying the offense, a prime attacker that when you need a goal, it's the guy that you always turn to, and that guy is Yamar,
the goat,
the center back, the goat, the goat number 9 of the 2023 Seattle Sounders came through with it's a really good goal actually.
It was
all joking aside,
header.
like that was a really sick header.
Listen, I'm not going to say that our fans are the smartest of all of the punditry podcasts, but we did have a question that asked, is Yamar the best defender in the league? And I don't know, but he's for sure the best attacker on the Sounders roster.
He might be. I mean, I was joking on Twitter after he scored that, just start him up top at this point.
Why not?
What do you got to lose?
Nothing.
He snapped that header in better than I've seen any Sounders striker do it this year. So, Yamar scored that goal, and that was great. I'm not going to take anything away from that. It was good to see them score a goal after they didn't do that against Atlanta. But I can't really look at that and be like, oh, well, this is the answer on offense. Yamar scoring goals.
No.
Congratulations, your center back scored a goal. That's not necessarily what I would say is a sustainable way to be generating offense going forward or in the playoffs. So, and the game itself also didn't look much different than anything that we've seen as far as were they able to consistently generate chances and look dangerous, get that XG up. They really were. They weren't really doing much of that. But they were holding on to the 1-0 lead into the second half. And so, I mean, at that point, I'm thinking, okay, can they just see this out? Because it's not like I have all that much confidence that they're going to score another goal. So it's kind of about, can you see it out to 1-0? And it turns out that they couldn't because Yamar scored again. He scored again. He had a brace.
He had a brace.
He scored 2 goals in the game. Unfortunately, the second one he scored was an own goal for Minnesota United.
You win some, you lose some.
Unfortunate. A little unlucky. I mean, he's just trying to clear out a free kick from Reynoso into the box. And that, I mean, most times he flicks that header, it's not going to go straight into the goal. So they did a good job to hold Minnesota to 1 goal. But, thinking back right now as I talk about that Minnesota game, they were under pressure a lot. Like they probably, I mean, they did get lucky to not lose that game. But they, credit to them. They saw it out and they got a road draw that, under normal circumstances, 1-1 at Minnesota is not a terrible result, but like with where this team is at, especially on offense, it felt lucky. It felt lucky, and it didn't feel like a morale boost needed to be in the form of a multi-goal game where they look better on offense, signs of progress, and I didn't really come out of that Minnesota game feeling like that, really. I felt like I had pretty much watched a similar game that I've been watching for the last 6 to 8 weeks or however long this offensive rut has gone on. It's been a long time now. And so that left morale pretty low, I would say, going into the Austin game. I don't know. Did you have high expectations for that game? I don't think
I didn't want to
did.
watch it. I had the Miami game on, and I was like,
I was toggling.
I was like, I'll give me a little Messi. This is way more interesting than me having to watch Sebastian DeRussi bang in, a brace to beat the Sounders and, I don't know, hit a Fortnite emote or something.
So and I think it's fair. I can't say that I felt all that much differently, to be honest.
Yeah.
But they won.
They did.
They won the game, so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Great win.
It was actually a good win.
It was actually a good win. Much needed, sorely needed, just so badly needed. And I'm not even going to qualify it. Did they look amazing on offense? No, but signs of progress. Okay, Rome wasn't built in a day. All right, you got to take baby steps here. So it was a bit of a grinded out game where they withstood a lot of pressure again at times. Was it still like pulling teeth a little bit in attack for pretty lengthy stretches of it? I would say so. Yes, they had one even XG. I think that pretty much matched the eye test.
Yep.
So they're not like out of the woods based on this dub, is what I'm saying. Like there's still a lot of progress to be made if they actually want to make a run this year. But listen, like right now, a dub is a dub. A road dub is definitely a road dub. 3 points is 3 points. I'm not gonna like take anything away from it just because the performance wasn't incredible. And in fact, I think a game like Stephen Fry was talking about this after the game, but I think a game like this where it's difficult circumstances on the road, and they're still not playing their greatest, but they actually put it in and get the dub in the way that they did. Is a beneficial type of dub. Maybe not as much. I think it would have been very cathartic and even better if they had just boat raced him 3-0 off the field and the offense looked amazing and all that. Obviously, that would have been ideal. But I do think there's something to be said for a dub that they got in the way that they got it. So let's talk about that. There was a few lineup tweaks to this game, like I said, that was born out of the necessity for squad rotation. But
not as much as I thought.
There, not as much as some people wanted to see, but there was enough where when the starting 11 came out, I was like, okay, like there's probably a couple more changes that I would have made, just given the scheduling, honestly,
right,
as much as anything. But when I saw the starting 11. That had Josh Atencio in it. He's free.
He's free, bro.
Free.
Where the fuck has he been?
Oh my god, where has he been? I don't know. The banishment of Josh Atencio has been something that I think has been bothering a lot of people for a while now, and it's been bothering me. Josh Atencio got hurt in like May.
Yeah,
he hasn't been hurt for a while. Before he got hurt, he was playing well. He scored one of the best goals anyone on this team has scored all season. He's got half the goals that Hebert's got.
Yep.
Like, where's he at? His skill set also is pretty necessary.
He's young.
There was that one
legs.
stretch where Obed Vargas had started like 7 games in a row with JP, and it's like, Obed. It's nothing against what Obed has done this year. I think he's playing all right. I don't think he's played so well that I'm like, you got to write him in pen anytime that Rusnak pushes higher, or you got to rotate JP or something. Like, it's got to be Obed. Like, and I think Josh Atencio, to my mind at least, he seemed like he earned at least some of those minutes. Schmetz had a quote about it the other day where he was alluding to like Josh still has stuff he needs. We're maybe not seeing enough like in training exactly what we want for. I don't know, man. I feel like it got to the point where you got to just start throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And with how long of a period of time we're talking about of just nothing on offense, I would have liked to see Josh Atencio out there sooner. I was really glad
Me too.
to see him in this lineup, and I think he paid that off. He played great. I don't have
he took his shot.
Yeah,
He did.
He
and
did.
He
I don't have like all the numbers in front of me. I probably should have, but like if you break down all the stuff that people like with passing completion percentage and like forward progressive passing and work rate stuff like that, he put it in. And
eye test for sure.
Eye test for sure. And the team looked better. The team.
They did.
So I don't know. I just don't know why he wasn't playing earlier.
It's not Christian Roldan who's the glue. It's Josh Atencio.
Yeah, it could be. It could
We've
be.
been wrong.
I hope this inspires Schmetz to give our boy Josh some more minutes, because I mean, free him.
Whatever he said to
it.
Schmetzer, you got to get over it. I'm sorry, Brian.
He must have did something.
I mean, love you, Brian.
Damn. But you know, I'm glad the whole freezing out Josh Atencio thing is over. That was annoying. And he played in this game. He played well. Team looked better with him on the field. RBW also started in this game.
Yeah.
Ethan Dobby also started in this game. And I thought they both did well. They didn't look like incredible game changers. Like
I wanted to see
these
Cody
guys
Baker.
are really going to move the needle. That's a good shout, actually. I kind of forgot about that.
I was wondering where Cody Baker was.
Well, you know, I actually don't mind giving RBW the start there, because I think he's got more upside as a prospect. I think Cody Baker has the floor, RBW has the ceiling. So when you're at this point where you got to throw some stuff at the wall, like you could make the argument for Cody Baker there, and I wouldn't have argued with it. But I don't mind RBW right there. I think
he's better at that wing back position.
He's got those. He's got that dynamic kind of attacking ability that Cody Baker. Cody Baker's more the bulldog that's going to mess you up on defense, which is great, and I love that about him. But I also, you know, I want to see RBW get his run too, because I mean, RBW, like, you see these reports and it's like he's being scouted by Manchester United, Barcelona, Manchester City. You're like, whoa, where the, like, I mean, like, he's a good prospect, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't know if you know, scouts know more than I do, but like, if I hadn't seen those reports and you asked me, like, should he be getting scouted by all these like top clubs in the world, like, I don't know if I would have said that, is all I'm saying. But like, that's why I want to see him get run, because I want to see like him get the minutes to show that he has that upside that all these European scouts seem to think he does. So it was good to see him out there. I'd like to see him out there more. But it was good that Alex Roldan got that rest, and you know, another RBW was one of the ones that started, and Josh Atencio and Ethan Doblier, maybe the 5 teenagers game. So it was good to see him go back. It's a good bit, just going to Q2 and winning with a bunch of 17 to 19-year-olds. Like, that's funny every time. I'm down for them to do that. I'm down for them to do it again. So it was just good to see a different lineup, even if it was just squad rotation, and good to see the young guys get a run. Jordan Morris started up top in place of Raul Ruidiaz. This was an interesting one because, you know, I don't know if you've seen these, Noah, but Schmetz has been giving some like more, how would I describe it? He's kind of shed more light than usual onto kind of the issues that he's facing with the number 9 position and how they've gotten zero production out of it. And he hasn't been throwing Raul under the bus, I wouldn't say, but he did say, he told Sounder at Heart, he was like, look, I mean, I'm at the point where if we're not getting production from that spot, like, we're gonna have to try different stuff there, and like, if that means sitting Raul, that's what I'm gonna do. And I mean, I think we might have been past that point, at least as far as like trying something different, at least for a game. Like, Raul's scoreless streak, 732 minutes.
That's insane.
Like, yeah, I mean, you know,
for an elite striker, that's insane.
Well, because usually with an elite striker, it's a gradual decline. This seemed like instantaneous. Like the Charlotte game, he was like normal. Remember that? He was like normal Raul, banging in goals, and then ever since then he hasn't scored. So Jordan Morris got the start up top in this game.
Banged in a sick goal.
That was a very sick goal. We're going to talk about that goal, but I thought that the whole idea of trying the Leo Chu Jordan Morris thing again, that really cooked earlier in the season.
Yeah.
They had the 4-goal game in Sporting Kansas City where Leo Chu assisted on all 4 and Jordan Morris scored all 4. That seems like it was like 5 years
Dude,
ago.
that sounds. That felt like last season at this point.
But I didn't mind. I didn't mind giving that a run. See if you can recapture that magic. So they didn't really recapture that exact magic, but Jordan Morris scored a great goal, and that's kind of a good segue into the game that Nico Lodeiro had in this game. That was vintage Nico out there. He really like. I've been saying that Nico, I don't think he's as like washed as a lot of people seem to be saying he is. Nico has been putting it in, and like Schmetz said after the game, it's not like you can ever question his fitness or his effort or his desire. All that stuff is still there. Is he playmaking at the level that he needs to be in recent weeks? No, I think he would be the first to tell you that. I think there's probably more factors as to why that's the case than just, simply writing it off as he's declining as a player. I think they can't lean on him 90 minutes every single game, week in, week out, game in, game out, like they used to. I think that's what this last stretch of games has kind of shown us. But I mean, the old man's he like this was a game where Nico Lodeiro was kind of saying, like, okay, you want to say that I'm washed?
Yeah.
Why? Did you forget who I am?
Yeah.
Watch me work.
Watch me run this spin cycle.
Watch me run this spin cycle. Watch me run around the whole damn game like I used to. Like I can still do this. And that was kind of cool to see from Nico, because I mean, one of the great things about watching him over the years is, he's such a great competitor, His will to win is second to none as far as DPs that have played for this team.
And that's never changed.
And that's never changed. And like
even when times are tough, like
through this tough stretch, you could see it. You could see it weighing on him on the field, and that's where he starts pressing and trying to do too much. And that's I think that's sort of what got him into trouble over this last stretch. But I don't think it was about like. As far as a physical decline goes for Nico Lodeiro, I mean, I don't see that in the way that some people are saying that there is. Like, he's probably, as far as players that I've covered on the team, the guy is as much of a freakish physical specimen as I've ever been around. Like, it's amazing to watch him work just because of, how good a care he takes of his body and just how fit he is. Like, the physical fitness on him, like, if you always look at how much he runs every game, it's crazy. So it was a great Nico game. The dime he put in on that set piece goal that Jordan Morris scored was such a good pass. That was one of his better passes, like certainly of this season. And like when you're talking about the pantheon of great Nico Lodeiro dimes, like damn, that was a good one because there was such little space.
Yeah,
like he had
it was a drop in a bucket.
It was a drop in a bucket. Like for Jordan to have a chance to score that, like from that angle, like marked as heavily as he was, like the pass has to be literally perfect. Like there's no other spot that ball can be. And all Jordan had to do was put his foot out and redirect it, and it knocks off Brad Stuver and right into the goal. That's 1-0. So I'm sitting there looking at that. I'm like, okay, they got a goal. They're ahead 1-0 again. Awesome. Not to give a caveat though, but I mean, it was a set piece goal, so that's great. But I keep looking for stuff that's like sustainable and repeatable, and set pieces, there's a lot of variance. It's very random. You can't really bank on them usually unless you're a team that's hyper elite at them, which I would not necessarily describe Seattle this year as that. So it was great to see the goal. But as far as how they looked on offense to that point, I mean, I felt like I was watching a lot of the same stuff. I won't lie to you. Austin FC, Austin FC is pretty bad. That's not a very good team. And, their fan base, they got real hot and bothered when people pointed out all the underlying numbers that suggested that they got a little lucky and were overperforming last year. And they said, look at the table. The results are the only thing that matters. And then this year, I mean, you kind of see why, like, when you have they had crazy underlying number. I know you hate this, Noah, but like last year it was actually like a really notable spread of they overperformed their XG by like double-digit goals, and then they also their expected goals allowed, they like allowed like 10 or so or something less than that. It's just one of those things where when you look at that, you can be like, okay, that's fraudulent. They're not going to be able to carry that over for another full season. And I wasn't like the only one who thought that. Like a lot of people were looking at that and saying that, and that panned out pretty much to a T. They did manage to tie it up though, but actually before we talk about that, we have to talk about the funniest play of this game. There's a very, very funny play in this game. Not very funny to Austin FC fans, but it was funny to me. Seattle was still ahead 1-0, and Emmanuel Rigoni had a free header on goal. Stefan Fry reaches back and paws that thing out of there, and it was ruled a save, and Austin FC is frantically arguing that the ball crossed the line. Now, there's a lot of salty Austin FC fans about this play, and they were going off on their official main Twitter account, posting like these screenshots and then the clip of it, and then they had an angle I think that the VAR officials didn't have, and they were posting this like it was like a dunk that proved that the ball went in and that it should have been a goal. And their fans were replying to it after the game. They were saying, protest the game, protest it, and get us a point out of this because that goal should have counted. Not how it works.
They were going full Charlie Day.
They were literally going full Charlie Day on this. Okay. The angles that they were posting, like I'm sorry, I hate to break this to you, Austin FC Twitter. I don't know if any of you listen to Lobbing Scorchers, probably not. But the angles that they were posting and that you were all talking about, they don't show that ball crossed the line. I get that you're using the post as the reference point and the end line is theoretically like right in line with that, so that's what it looked like. But just to explain the rule to some people that I mean, it seems like you guys don't get it. I mean, you'll probably be talking about how you know the rule and that it was a conclusive angle, but like that whole ball has to be fully across the line for that to be a goal. If there is any part of that ball that is above any part of that end line, then that's a save and it's not a goal. Okay? So the post isn't your reference point there. It's the very last part of that end line. So did it cross that? I think like it's more likely than not that it did, but you definitely can't say that definitively from the angles that we're working with. Like none of the angles that they posted on Twitter showed that definitively either way. It's a really close play. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think like if they had ruled it a goal on the field, like I wouldn't have been able to argue that either. But like the idea that was fully, clearly and obviously definitive based on the angles that VAR had and based on these like screenshots and clips that Austin FC's official Twitter were posting, like you can't tell. It's not clear and obvious. That whole ball has to be over, and like showing that it was past the post like doesn't prove that, I guess, is what I'm saying. So it was a good save by Steph, and I thought it was funny how mad they got about that. Like, I mean, I get being frustrated, but like you honestly can't tell if the whole ball was over.
I'm also watching this clip right now, and where their camera is in proportion to, like, it's basically an optical illusion because you have the line on the ground and you have a vertical post. it's going to appear as though it's past the post, but it's not going to be over the line completely. Does that make sense?
Or it may or may not be.
Yeah, may or may not.
Like you can't tell from that angle that they posted.
It's
So like, I mean, and the other thing is, look, I'm glad I get to say this about another team because no, I feel like you and I have actually been consistent on this year, and we've made this point about the Sounders a lot of times. So it's going to feel good to say this about another team. Like, you can't hang your hat on 50-50 calls like that in this game.
Oh,
you can't. If you're leaving your fate up to a borderline call that could go either way, you don't really have anyone but yourself to blame, or just bad luck. You could blame bad luck, but you really have no one but yourself to blame if it goes against you. That's a really, really, really close play.
Mm-hmm.
Steph Fry pawed that out of there. And, like, you know, Drew Fisher, the ref, I don't think he had a great game. Like, I have my own complaints about how Drew Fisher officiated this game at times. I mean, that's pretty hard to see. Like, without
the goal line technology,
well, okay,
what are you supposed to know?
that is if Austin FC fans have made a fair point in this saga on this play, it's that we should have goal line tech. I agree with that.
Yeah, why not?
I agree with that.
I'm cool with that.
I'm not against goal line tech. Goal line tech would have solved that.
Yeah.
But
especially give it to the VAR. Fuck it.
Yeah. So yeah, we should have goal line tech to avoid situations like this.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
That's true. But as far as, you know, saying you're going to protest the game to try and get a road point out, or not a road point, a point out of it, like
protest and just don't play.
Protest your team for being below the playoff line, man.
Protest your team for allowing how many 90th minute goals?
Austin FC has much bigger issues than, you know, one play where a ball may or may not have gone across the end line. Like, there's larger stuff at play for Josh Wolf and company to be worried about than that one play.
Yeah.
I watched Josh Wolf's presser after the game, and, you know, to his credit, he actually wasn't as salty as he was salty, don't get me wrong. And he was talking about how they need goal line tech and all that. And he was very clearly trying to frame it like, yeah, like we got kind of screwed because like that should have been a goal. So it really should have been 2-2. But I guess that's my other point is like, okay, let's assume that you had your goal line tech or that was ruled a goal like you're saying it should have. You would have had a 2-2 against a vastly struggling team at home when you're below the playoff line and you need all 3 points in every game to get above it. That's not a good result either. That's a pretty bad result. It would have taken it from a terrible result, which is what they got, to a pretty bad result. So that wouldn't have really solved much for you guys. Maybe would have made you feel better, but like I would be worried about other stuff if I was an Austin FC fan, you know?
Listen, what is it that I always say? We don't listen to these made-up stats like XG to determine how a game went, and we don't listen to these made-up scenarios like blaming what could or would or should have happened. You made your bed. You got to lie in it. Quit conceding in the 90th minute. That seems like a thing that should be pretty easy.
There's a lot going on in that take.
That's my take.
I agreed with some of it, disagreed with other parts of it. But no, I mean, I think your larger point stands. Like, Austin FC, they have made a habit out of conceding goals like the one we're going to talk about next all season. Yeah. That's why they are where they are on the table. And really their squad to me, it seems it's Driussi or bust. Like they're
poorly built.
They don't have, like, they were starting Giassi in this game. You know, I'm not one of those guys that is constantly taking shots at Giassi. I think, you know, I was always a Giassi defender when he was on the national team. Like, I thought he was fine, you know.
I enjoyed him.
Yeah, I thought, you know, every time he scored a goal, it was a good bit because USMNT Twitter hates him so much. So like,
it was kind of like
I supported his career based on that. But like,
he was a Jordan Morris ally.
If he's your starting number 9 as an MLS club in 2023, like, that's not great. Will Bruin, shout out Will Bruin. He came on later and he almost banned.
Which is like a classic Will Bruin moment.
Well, yeah, he oh man, you could tell he wanted that one. He wanted to get Steph on that one because they've gone at it at Starfire so many times. But like the point is like the rotation of Giassi and Will Bruin in 2023. Like those guys are good depth forwards, but like and then Maxi Rudy is like the other one.
Yeah.
That's the sickest group of MLS number 9s ever in 2015.
Correct.
Like,
yeah, dude. That's like
so. I mean, that's one problem with their squad. But then they also this is just becoming just like a trash on Austin FC segment. But I'm kind of down with it because their fans were kind of pissing me off last night. So we're gonna cook on it. They also, I mean, the way that they concede goals is like they're like another version of the Chicago Fire. Like they concede really bad goals. They concede late goals all the time. Exhibit A in this game. Julio Cascante on his own. That guy, if you're a struggling attack in MLS as the Seattle Sounders have been, hit up Julio Cascante in Austin FC. They'll give you one. Another part of Josh Wolf's presser after the game was so he actually got grilled pretty hard. Like the Austin FC media, it's kind of sick. Like they actually put his feet to the fire a little bit. I don't know if they're just sick of watching that team, or if there's some kind of like animosity that's been festering there. But they had this one guy who was really using the presser to cook, and he was letting Josh Wolf have it a little bit. And at one point he's like, Josh, this is literally, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but this is pretty much what he said. He's like, Josh, we have all this data on Julio Cascante that like he's basically just been shipping goals like it's his job. He was busting out. He's like, he conceded this goal. It's been like 5 straight goals. Why is he still starting? Basically, was the question. And Josh Wolf was like, he was pretty much like, I mean, that's not a bad point. Like, I support Julio, but he doesn't have to start every game. And
bro was trying to get a job out there.
I know, but like, I did think it was interesting. It seems like that Josh Wolf's seat might be warming.
Yeah.
It might be warming. The press it wasn't even
the fans hate him.
It wasn't even just the Cascante guy lit him up for like 3 or 4 questions.
That rocks.
And then there was another woman that was lighting him up a little bit. So he was taking heat at the presser. I thought that was tight. I'm always down to watch coach get grilled like that. And there's only like so many points of the season where it gets to that point. And they are there in Austin. So that was fun. I enjoyed
It's good
that.
to see 2 teams in the mud scrap it out.
Yeah. nice little mid off at Q2.
Exactly. Yeah, we were mid off.
Oh, I had another take that I missed on this outline.
We got to
okay, all right. You're going to like this. You're going to like this. This is good. So, we were talking about the goal that Rigoni thought that he scored. They all thought that he scored it and they didn't. Okay, so check out this take. Like low key, I'm not sure that the one Driussi scored went in. Right?
Really?
Listen. I don't mind them ruling that a goal. Like there was nothing conclusive to say that it didn't. But I watched the replay. I'm just saying. Like Steph Fry, he got his foot to that, and like So what would have been really funny is like there was a scenario where they could have ruled that Steph Fry saved that. And when I watched the replay, you can't really tell. Like, it's definitely possible that the ball is still touching the line when Steph Fry clears it. So it would have been fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Is if they had
VAR changes that.
Or not even VAR'd it, but just like they hadn't ruled it a goal on the field, and then they're like, oh well, we can't clear and obviously change it. And so they would have thought that they had gotten robbed on that twice in that game and that they should have won the game. God, that would have been tight.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
But as it stands, Driussi scored that goal off a set piece. Albert Rusnak took the blame for it after the game. A lot of people thought Nuhu had some fault in that too. But they've been conceding these goals off set pieces. The Minnesota one was a set piece too, so they got to stop that. Stop that.
Cut it out.
Stop conceding set piece goals. Schmidt said he knows it's an issue, so they're going to work on that.
Get back to the training
ground. They're going to get back on the training ground.
3 more weeks of winter.
They're going to drill that. They're going to stop conceding set piece goals. Hopefully. I don't know.
I don't know.
But
we don't know what's play. Yeah.
We don't know, but they conceded that one. But Austin fans, I'm not saying that goal shouldn't have counted. That was probably.
I'm saying it.
That was. They deserved to concede on the play because they gave Sebastian Driussi a clean look on goal.
Yeah,
which that's when you're game planning for Austin FC. That's pretty much like the one thing that you need to not do is concede a clean look on goal to Sebastian Driussi. So they deserved to concede that goal, 1-1. And it was 1-1 all the way until the 90th minute. And, it's crazy how fast narratives can flip because I didn't think they were going to score again. And if it had been 1-1 there, I would have been like, okay, 2 points out of 6 from this road trip. Not that great. Offense looked a little better in Austin than it did in Minnesota and versus Atlanta, but not really. I don't know.
Yeah. A-Bear was out there fighting.
A-Bear was out there racking up XG,
stacking up.
He was stacking. They scored a couple goals, but one was scored by a center back. The other was off a set piece. Okay. So that's kind of, that's where my mind was at watching that game in the 90th minute. And then one man.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom.
Put the city on his shoulders.
Boom, boom.
And scored a game-winning goal, which gave the Seattle Sounders multiple goals in a game.
Wow.
Which is not something that has happened very much over the last 2 months. Albert Rusnak, big play, man. Big play. That's the type of play that can save a season. I'm not saying it's going to, but when the vibes have been as down as they've been lately, and you just need a win by any means necessary so badly.
Yeah.
Bert stepped
Shout
up.
out Bert.
Bert stepped up. Shout out Bert. Bert,
getting his stock up before we trade
we're
him.
on record. We've been on record as pro Bert on this podcast. A lot of
Absolutely.
people are down on Bert because
they're
he
dumb.
was signed as
They don't know ball.
Well, okay,
They don't know ball.
They don't know ball as far as if they're trying to argue that he isn't a talented or good player. But I can respect questioning the signing itself in the sense that the way that they've been using him is not really to his strengths. So it's if you were going to use him as a holding mid, why would you not just sign a DP holding mid? Why would you sign a DP number 10 who, I thought could play out wide, but apparently that's really not where they want to play him. So why would you sign him if he plays the same position as one of your other DPs and then you have to play him out of position? That's a fair point.
Yeah.
My counterpoint to that is that they made the signing with an eye at CCL and they won it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of the discussion to me as far as if signing him to begin with was a bad idea. They won CCL off it. End of story. But I do get why it's frustrating to watch a player who ostensibly plays and excels at one position be put in another, and then the team's struggling like this, and you're like, well, what is this? What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What's happening? Why is he playing holding mid? Well, we have Ladero at 10. Well, why are they both on the roster as DP? These are all points that I've made myself. But saying all that, that was a big Bert goal, man. That was a big Bert goal.
Bert at 9. Put Bert at 9.
A lot of that play had to do with Nico Ladero. He won the ball. Did a little interchange with he gives it to Nuhu gives it back to him. Nasty cross into the box. Julio Cascante did his thing. I don't really that. Oh God, that poor guy, man. He was trying to cook, but he couldn't quite. All right, I can't really tell you what Cascante was trying to do. He was trying to clear it, but he went low to do so, but I don't know why he didn't just kick it. He went low and headed it right off Obed, and I'll have to watch the replay again. Maybe he had some reason for trying to diving head it, but anyway, needless to say, the ball went.
He short circuited. It doesn't make any sense.
I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like he could have just stood there and kicked it.
Yeah.
But instead, he went to the ground. He tried to diving head. I don't know. It was just a really funny looking header that he tried to clear it with. And then, so it bounced off Obed. Obed just kicked the shit out of it right into Cascante. Pops up in the air right to Bert. Bert. Oh man, Bert has that when his one of his other goals this year. The aesthetic of a Bert finish is it's just so satisfying to watch. You know,
So good.
Like it's just perfect form on that. And he rips it. They had Gallagher on the line like to try and clear that, but you're not clearing that.
Mm-mm.
That's a 90th minute game winner ball game. There was 8 minutes of stoppage for some reason from Drew
Which
Fisher.
ended at 9 minutes.
Yeah. So, I think all of us were probably waiting for them to concede the equalizer, but they didn't.
They didn't ship.
They didn't ship the goal. They saw it out. 2-1 victory, 3 points. So that brings Seattle to 11, 9, and 7, and 40 points. Third place in the Eastern Conference, Third place in the Western Conference still. Level on points with second place LAFC. LAFC has the
Los Angeles fraudulent club.
The Los Angeles Fraud C is, they've got the, I think, so it's total wins is the first tiebreaker. They're tied on that. Goal differential is the second. So LAFC is technically in second. But so Seattle's level on points for second in the West. After all this, which, is that an indictment of the rest of the Western Conference?
Absolutely.
Probably.
Yeah.
But, that's none of our concern.
You take the wins you can get.
The rest of the Western Conference is free to indict itself if they want to. Who am I to stop them?
Just get better.
Yeah, exactly. Houston Dynamo, Vancouver Whitecaps, y'all have had a long time of the Seattle Sounders scoring pretty much no goals to like make up this ground that Seattle still has. So, I don't know. I don't want to they're not out of the woods for a playoff spot, but they're in pretty good shape. Like Austin is in 10th and Dallas
RSL
is in
fell off.
9th. RSL had been in third, but you're right.
Which is funny because you called that.
Well, no, I didn't. I called the opposite. I was talking about how good they are.
No, but you said that you're right. It was Mark.
Yeah, and
it was MCAS.
Yeah,
MCAS
I'm not taking the full L.
It's not over. Season's not over.
They are definitely in bad form, and my take doesn't look good. And to be fair, Pablo Ruiz, who's been one of their best players all season, and I think what you're seeing with RSL, I was going to talk about this because Portland just played RSL, but one of their best players all season, Pablo Ruiz, had a season-ending injury, and they look like garbage without him. Like they're not just losing these games; they're getting boat raced, and they just lost to the Timbers, and that's like, you're down bad for
God,
that.
I can't wait for the Sounders to lose to them
so
on
that's who the Sounders
Saturday.
play next, and the Timbers, no matter how bad they are, we all know their recent track record in Seattle. So
they we're
gonna get into that game just about right now. But the point I was making is that like this team is very much alive for a top 2 seed in the West, and the home playoff games that come with that, which is just crazy to think about, isn't it? Like we've been so down on them. Everyone has, rightfully so, deservedly. They don't score the goals very often. It's not something that they've done very much of this season, and they still are level on points for second in the West, and they're fighting for home playoff games, which, like, if you look at how they've played over the last 2 months, yeah, you could say they don't deserve that. But if you had told a lot of the fans before the season that at this point in the season they would be boxing with LAFC for second in the West, like I think everyone would have taken that. If you had told them that both LAFC and Seattle would be behind St. Louis, I think a lot of people would have been surprised by that.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been surprised by that for sure.
And that Messi was going to be in the league.
The West is just a little bit of a joke, to be honest with you.
It's laughable.
It's pretty, like, especially when you look at it as compared to the East. I mean, FC Cincinnati, Cincy's already clinched a playoff spot.
Cincy is going to beat the points record.
They might. They actually might. They're 17-3-6. I mean, they're the best team in the league right now. I mean, after that, like, you got the Revs up there with.
Well, they're not the best team in the league, but they are the best points team.
Who do you think is the best team in the league?
Inter Miami.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
come on. I'm gonna just be honest.
I mean, this is a total tangent, but I'm down to go on it.
Yeah.
I mean, Inter Miami, like they're the best team in the league on talent and certainly in recent form. But it's like, it's just how much can you ride these Barca boys
They can't
over these games.
Yeah,
like
they won't
just
make the playoffs.
They just tied Nashville SC 0-0 at home with everyone playing. Messi was playing, Busquets was playing, Jordi Alba was playing. They look pretty gassed already, and they still have like 10 games to play to make up this 10-point deficit that they have. Yeah. So like,
and the final.
I've been saying that I think they are going to make the playoffs just because like when you look at how good that they look at their apex, it looks. I mean, I'm dead serious. It looks like the best MLS team I've ever seen, and I include all these really good LAFC teams that have happened in the last couple years in that. Like, I think what I saw from Inter Miami in Leagues Cup at the peak of their powers in attack, you know, they still have a lot of defensive vulnerabilities at times, but like when you have the peak capability that team has when their attack is going and, you know, they're reasonably well rested, which they weren't in their last game. No one can play ball like that in this league. It's certainly not this year, and not that I've seen. I mean, I don't want to say ever because people are going to call it a hot take, but like possibly ever. Like they have sequences of attacking play that are the best I've ever seen in MLS. Like, and that shouldn't come as a surprise because they literally added 3 of the best players of all time at their respective positions, including the literal best player of all time. So I actually don't think it's that hot of a take. But like, it's just so much to ask to sustain that for how long that they need to with the fixture congestion that they have to make up as big of a deficit as they have. And I think that Nashville game, that gave me some, I've been saying I think they're going to do it, but that Nashville game gave me some pause of like, just how much gas do you have left to do this? But anyway, let's talk about this Portland game and then get out of here. I mean, the Portland Timbers are bad.
Oh,
they're not a good team. If you're talking about the sport of soccer, which we are, they're not good at it. They fired their coach a couple weeks ago.
Thank God.
Shout out Gio Savarese. It was
well, now they're definitely not going to win in Seattle then.
Oh, because Gio's gone?
Gio owns the Seattle Sounders.
Maybe that's just what it's been these last couple years. Is it's just Gio in particular, and now that he's gone, that whole
they don't have the
trend
sauce anymore.
is going to end. That's a good bit. I think, to me, what it seems like it is, and we talked about this the last time Seattle played Portland, but this goddamn game for the Portland Timber, it's their Super Bowl. Every player on that team, they lived for specifically this game. You give them any other MLS team, and they're like, we're going to be a 1.13 points per game MLS squad. But you put us against the Seattle Sounders, doesn't matter if it's at Providence Park or at Lumen Field, we're going to morph into Real Madrid. That's just what we do.
It is.
Like MLS Cup, US Open Cup, Leagues Cup. We don't care about that. We care about 2 things. We care about the MLS is back tournament, and we care about beating the Seattle Sounders.
Hang the banner.
Okay, so I guess that's one point I wanted to make about this game is like there's no excuse for going into this game and not being ready for that. You've seen it the last 5 or 6 times that you've played the game. You know that they're gonna come in playing this game like it's the last game that they're ever gonna play. You have to know that. You have to be ready for that, and you have to match that intensity from the jump. You can't let them cook on you. You can't let them out-intensity you like they have been in these games between these teams recently. All right? Like, there's no excuse for it. You can't let it happen. You have to – you're the home team in this game. You gotta come out. You got to be on top of them. Impose your will. Okay? Can't let them start doing that stuff on your home field. Tired of watching that. Okay, so I mean that's like the number one thing for me. Like, you can't get out intensity. It's a rivalry game, derby game. Like, those results are usually going to be 50-50 and come down to the margins. You might win it, you might lose it, you might draw it. That's good analysis right there. Those are the 3 outcomes that could happen.
They could abandon the match too.
They could, yeah, they could. Hopefully they don't.
Don't throw anything on the field.
But like, it can't be a situation like they've had repeatedly now in this rivalry where you get out-intensitied and overrun by a team you're better than. The Sounders, for however much they've struggled recently, and they have, we all know that, they're better than this Portland team. This Portland team is bunk, dude. Like they don't have really anything.
They're embarrassingly bad.
They got Sebastian Blanco, who he's been hurt for most of the year, and has come back recently, but hasn't done all that much.
What about their DP signing that just
they got
terrible.
So they bought Evander for $10 million, and he's not that good. He's been a little better, but I think it's fair to say on the whole that signing has not panned out for them. That's a big reason Gio got fired, is because they needed you spend $10 million on that guy, you need him to be a goddamn MVP candidate. You need him to be one of the best players in the league at his position. That's what they paid for, and that's not what they got. So that guy, I don't know. He might be able to get at you for a little something, but not that much. They got Tyron Espria. That's the guy I'm scared the most of. That guy terrifies me. I'd be shocked if he doesn't score a goal in this game.
Yeah.
If whoever, I don't even know who the Tinders. The Tinders.
The Tinders.
I don't even know who the Timbers interim coach is, but if he doesn't start Tyron Espria in this game,
he cooked the win against RSL.
He did, yeah, he did. But how much? I mean, that was a mid-off, is what that was.
It was a mid-off, but you know what?
If we're gonna call the Sounders Austin game mid-off, that was also a mid-off. It pains me to say that because I was so invested in my Real Salt Lake take, but that was a mid-off. But I think his name is Miles Joseph or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Miles, if you don't start Tyron Espria in this game, you don't know what you're doing, because I don't know how long you've been around the squad, but that guy lives for scoring goals against the Seattle Sounders. So, if I was Miles, I wouldn't really even put all that much thought into the rest of the lineup. I would just make sure Espria's out there, and I would make sure Blanco's out there, just because he's been a good player for them. He's been good in the rivalry games for sure. I don't even know if I would start Evander.
Definitely got to get Chara in there.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, they're gonna keep riding him for another 5 years probably.
He needs at least 100 more yellow cards.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm not gonna be at the game, unfortunately. I'm gonna be out of town this weekend, and I'm gonna miss the media game, so that's unfortunate.
Damn.
I know everyone's really upset about missing out the content on that, and I was out of town for the last one too, so I'm denying you guys content on
they
that.
They didn't invite me, so maybe next time you can get me on there.
Sorry. Yeah, I should have just given you my spot, I guess.
Yeah,
but
it happens. What do you think? What do you think is going to be the result? I want to hear a prediction. Should I go first with my prediction?
Yeah, give yours and I'll give mine.
3-0 Portland Timbers.
See, I don't see anything like that, because I don't think either of these teams have a good. I don't think either of these. I don't trust either of them to score 3 goals.
Yeah.
When I look at Portland, I'm like, why would you score 3 goals?
How would you score 3 goals? Yeah.
But when I look at Seattle, I think the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's more like a 1-1.
I don't know. I'm going 3-3. I think
okay,
Timbys
you're amending it. You're amending it.
No, 3-0. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. My brain is fried.
You're taking Timbys 3-0. I mean,
Timbys 3-0.
Honestly, with how this rivalry has gone recently, I wouldn't be all that surprised. I think for Seattle, the hope is that you can ride the momentum of that Austin game and use that confidence to propel you forward. All right. I mean, they had the win in Vancouver. That was their last win before this win, which was on July 8th. And we were like, okay, they're going to parlay this into momentum, multiple goals, 3 goals in a game. This is what we needed to see. That didn't pan out.
No.
So it's an important game for the rivalry aspect.
It's very important.
The thing is, it would be important no matter who they play, because you can't have a galvanizing type win against Austin and then come out at home in your next game and then play like you did against Atlanta, You can't do that. If you do that, as far as I'm concerned, you're pretty much back to square one. We're going to be on episode 16 talking about, like, complaining about the same stuff that we've been complaining about for the last 2-3 months, right?
But it also is important for the rivalry. They haven't won in 5 matches.
Yeah, and I
4
think
losses, 1 draw.
everyone's sick of this Portland dominating the rivalry narrative. And, like, make no mistake about it, like, they own the rivalry right now.
Yeah.
They do.
And they're trash.
They're a 1.13 points per game ass team. They're not good. Like, there's no
Brian, wake up.
You got to, like, figure out a way to snap out of that. I just still am not sure I trust this team to score multiple goals in a game. I'll believe it when I see it sustained over a larger sample size than one game against Austin, where one goal came off a set piece and the other came in the 90th minute when
served on a platter.
Not served on a platter by Julio Cascante, who actively tries to give up goals. Anyway, I think that's about a wrap for this episode. Unless you have anything else on this Portland game.
No, I go Sounders.
Yeah, get a goddamn dub over goddamn Portland. I'm gonna try and watch, but
be working. So
yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll lay down the content about it. Felt great to be back. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's just because we hadn't put one out in a bit. So
got the juice back.
It's good to be back, but I felt like we cooked on that a little bit. Laid down some good takes. Thank you to everyone for listening and staying loyal. I hope everyone who had been tuning in previously tuned back in despite our little break, and we appreciate all of you a lot. Rate 5 stars and like on iTunes and review it, and the Spotify follow all the stuff I'm talking about right now. Do all that. Do all that stuff.
Share it with Cascante. I don't know.
Dude, let's hope Julio doesn't listen to this.
Yeah, actually
one,
not.
That would be tough for him. All right. Well, we'll talk to you after this Portland game. Until then, we out.